One of the biggest questions I get with every single new case is, how much are my injuries worth? Would you like to know what I respond or how I respond to that? Come join me for a walk around the marina as I share with you the answer to that question. I am Gerry Oginski, a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Every single injured patient who comes to me, who wants to know whether they have a valid case, once we confirm that they do in fact have a valid case, always asks this one question. I know you can't tell me right now, but can you give me an idea of what is the value of what my case is worth? And my response is always the same. It's too early to tell. We won't know for quite a while. Now, how is it that I would not know the answer to that question? I'll tell you why. In all likelihood, your doctors have concluded that you have not yet finished your medical care and treatment, that you still need rehabilitation, that you may still need surgery to repair the problems that occurred as a result of this doctor's carelessness. You may need ongoing medical care and treatment for the next 10 years or more, or even for the remainder of your life. Or some of your doctors may have turned around and said, there's nothing else we can do. This is permanent. You will be left with this lifelong permanent disability. You will no longer be able to work. You will no longer be able to walk. You will no longer be able to do those types of activities that you did before. You will no longer be able to care for your children as well. You won't be able to do X, Y, and Z. When the doctors have told you that, and now significant time has passed where each one of your treating doctors have turned around and said, look, there is nothing else we can do for you. I'm sorry, you're going to have to learn to live with this. Now your ability to go ahead and rehabilitate, your ability to get better, has now plateaued. And now we know your peak, meaning we know you're not going to get better. We know those things you are unable to do. We are now aware of those things that you used to be able to do and compare it to those things you cannot do. And based upon your age, for how much longer you can be expected to live, that you ordinarily, had this injury not occurred, would have continued on your merry way. By learning this detail, by learning these details and all of this information, it gives us more support for understanding what you can and cannot do. It gives us the ability to truly understand the value of your injuries, which we would not know, and there's no possible way to know at the very beginning of your case. Even if months have gone by, or a year or two have gone by since the time of your initial injury, that does not mean that your injuries have plateaued or that your ability to rehabilitate or to improve or to get better has plateaued. So instead, I can't give you an accurate, educated answer on what the value of your injuries are. Now, you should know something else. And this is something that many people don't recognize when they first start a lawsuit. It's not just one simple question to ask, hey, what is my case worth? There are many variables that go into answering that question, and I'll give you a couple of them. One of them is where this took place. Did this take place in the Bronx? Was it Manhattan? Was it Queens? Was it Long Island? Was it somewhere else in New York? And why is that important? Because these different venues have different values for the same type of injury. If your life has now been shortened by a number of years because of an improperly diagnosed cancer, the value of your life has a different value depending upon which county you are in. And so you might be asking, okay, can we pick and choose what county we want to bring a lawsuit in? The answer is most likely no, but there are some instances where we do get to choose the county based upon connections to the doctors and to the witnesses that are involved in your lawsuit. In that instance, we might be able to choose a location based upon where the place of business is or where one of the doctors resides. But for the most part, it typically will take place in the venue, in the location where the injury occurred. Not always, but typically. All right, what are some of the other factors? Your age is a factor. Whether or not you had any pre-existing medical history is a factor. Those all affect the value of your injuries. So, for example, a 20-year-old is going to have a much higher value of an injury if that same injury occurred to someone who is 80 years old. Whether that person was working will make a difference as to whether or not the value of your injuries are higher or lower. If you have received services to pay for your medical care from Medicaid or Medicare or any other municipal agency where we are now required to pay back those monies or the majority of those monies for the medical care that you received, that's also known as a lien. In that instance, that will determine or that will change the value of your particular injuries. So there are many, many variables and factors that go into answering that simple question that every single injured patient wants to know. I know you've handled many of these cases before, but can you tell me a range of similar cases, what they've gone for in this county? The answer is, yeah, I could throw out a number, and I could throw out a very high number just to entice you to come along and come with me. But you know what? That would be improper. That would not be accurate. You want to know why? It's because there's no possible way at the very beginning of a case that I could ever give you an educated answer to that question. We need to know all these details, and the only time we're really going to know all those details and have a better understanding of exactly what your injuries are worth is at the conclusion of all discovery. Knowing exactly whether we have liability, knowing whether your injuries are a direct relation or a direct cause of the doctor's carelessness, and then understanding all of the details surrounding those things you can and cannot do, and those things you were able to do beforehand. All of those things are critically important to understanding the true value and nature of your injuries. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you because this is on the minds of every single injured patient. And this is exactly how I respond every single time, because it's so important for my injured clients to know how these cases proceed forward, to give them an understanding of what is going to occur and why, importantly, why. I can't give them the answer they want and need to know at the very beginning. You know, I realize you're watching this video because you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen in New York and you have not yet started a lawsuit, but are thinking of doing so and still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.